Good afternoon, everyone. It's Sunday. It's Sunday. Why am I working on the day of rest? Because I've got rather a lot on this week, and this is going to be my last chance to do it. I'm only in for 4 days this week, and then I start a wonderful week's holiday. So you will not be getting, unless something crops up during the week, you won't be getting any commentary from me for till the week on Monday, roughly. Don't even try. Don't even try and get in touch with me because I will be studiously avoiding any contact with the university while I'm away. And the reason why I haven't planned this better, so I couldn't do this on a Monday on a regular working day, is that these films take an awful lot longer than I kind of anticipated. Really, you know, of with this and with the other online courses that I do, this more or less takes up a full day, and it's hard to imagine where the time goes really because I've only got half a dozen online courses, and each of the films only takes 10 minutes, something like that. So it's hard to see where all the time goes. But what I need to do, you see, is to go back through all of my email contacts with you for a full week, and then look at the discussion boards, and then consider any technical issues which might have cropped up. And so, bit by bit, stage by stage, with looking over everything, it takes up a full day. And I'm not complaining about that, by the way. I'm not. I really am not. One of the beauties about me doing this sort of stuff is I need to go back and nitpick everything that's happened during the week, and it teaches me some really valuable lessons that if I just wrote to everybody individually as things were coming through, then I wouldn't get that sense of overview that I get. So anyway, the point is I'm doing it today, and next week I'll be gone from Thursday afternoon until a week the following morning. So you can send me any emails that you want. But if I answer any of them, or even if I read any of them, I will be getting a very frowny look from my missus. She'll be glaring at me. So there you are. So, what have I had in the way of correspondence this week? Well, there's been relatively little in the way of correspondence through email, so we can rule that out. A fair old bit by additions on the discussion board. But let's start off by talking about in class, because as you know, this module is divided between two groups. One group show up in class every week, and one group are out there in sunny Saudi Arabia, hiding away from the sunshine. And it is incredible to see the differences really, the differences in mood and the difference in contribution. For those of you in Saudi Arabia, the group who come to see me every week face to face are one of my more amusing groups, I would say. Very sort of very well disposed sort of group that I kind of like meeting every week. That's true, it's true. You strike me as being a very sort of congenial group. I don't I don't have anyone who sits at the back scowling when you get with some. Um, and I'm very polite to Carmel. Don't worry if you can't show up. These things happen. I understand that. But on the other hand, I do note that you've logged on every time. So therefore, you've attended, you've logged on, you've seen the materials that I've set, and as far as I'm concerned, you've been present. Just because someone shows up in class doesn't mean that you've got their full attention. They might be still on their holidays. Whereas somebody who's far away doing an online course might be fully engaged and fully paying attention to every single word, so you never quite know. As far as you've logged on, I'm happy. The rest of the stuff that I've got is kind of from the from the discussion boards. Good points, Shirley. Good points made about the New York Heart Association. In fact, a couple of you made the same points. That really, the New York Heart Association scale, as useful as it is a scale whereby a person is looking at somebody else and making judgments about them, and they may or they may not be accurate, and they may or they may not agree with the observations which are made by the next person who comes along and takes a slightly different attitude. I mean, as a rule of thumb, it is really, really useful. But as a scientific measurement guide, not really. And so coming to the next correspondent, Rachel. What Rachel has managed to do, which I don't think anybody else has yet, Rachel's cottoned onto the fact that you can write material in Word and then you can put it up as an attachment into the discussion board, which makes the whole thing for you, it seems to me, much more flexible and much more sort of reliable, really. And to me, what it shows, if somebody presents their work in that sort of way, it shows that they've gone on to the advanced class in online education. That's what it shows me. It suggests to me, anyway. So yeah, well done, Rachel. Again, Rachel focuses on the problems with the New York Heart Association. That it is from the perspective of the observer, not really from the patient's perspective at all. It doesn't really ask anything of the patient, does it? And this is a point that Delphine comes back to. She mentions the New York Heart Association as well, I think, but also she says that you don't ask patients to put a number on their quality of life. I think that's a really useful thing to do, to be honest with you. It's such an unofficial thing. It's not like you're taking the temperature or the BM or one of those things, but just where are you in all of this, Mr. Patient? How well do you think you're doing relative to last week? Are you getting better? Are you getting worse? Which way is things going for you? And of course, there may well be a heart failure associated quality of life measurement that they put forward. It may be just that they're fed up this week. Who knows? Now, a couple of you answered the question about specificity and sensitivity, and I'm not really sure what you meant by some of your answers. Delphine, for instance, the sensitivity, symptom sensitivity. Symptom sensitivity, will indicate that the person has got a symptom which is characteristic of that disease. But specificity, on the other hand, refers to, could that be also a symptom? It might be a symptom of heart failure, but it could be something of another half a dozen conditions, sensitivity, specificity. Yes, it is a symptom of heart disease, but it could be a symptom of all sorts of other things as well. So you can't say just because you've got that symptom, therefore you've got the disease. Now, Delphine, you've used an expression that specificity refers to true negative symptoms. Didn't really understand that, to be honest with you. And you might have explained yourself a bit more clearly there, but you had a go. Rachel, again with you, Rachel, back to you. Another Word document that you'd uploaded, very comprehensive. Now, again, with the lesson 4 answers that you brought in, you've mentioned narrow and broad definitions of heart failure, and I wasn't quite sure which way you were going with that either. What I was looking for with that answer was, if you have a narrow definition of heart failure, you're going to catch everybody who's got it. In fact, the risk with a narrow definition is that you're going to miss a few people out because they're going to come just on the wrong side of the narrow defining characteristics that you've pointed out. With a broad definition, on the other hand, you're not that concerned about being precise in your definition of what heart failure is. But what you're looking for is overall numbers. It doesn't matter with a broad definition whether or not you'll take a few extra people in. You're interested in setting the net so it catches as many people as possible. That's what I was after there. I think I might have got the question a little wrong with that one, because it seems to have set people off on a confused path. So anyway, everyone, that's the correspondence that I've had this week. We're up to week 6 is it now? So see how you get on with those. I'll look at what you've put back in when I get back from holiday. Otherwise, do not even attempt to get in touch. Can't emphasise that enough. That's from Thursday onwards, obviously. Get in touch before that if you notice there's a problem.